we have two special guests. We have Sam from Time on Our Hands, and we have Lucy from the Watchbox Diaries. Try saying that when you're sober. Good evening, ladies. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hello. Hi, guys.
It's
How you doing,
great
guys?
to
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. How's
Excellent.
it going?
Yeah,
Really
not
well.
bad. Not
Yeah,
bad. Been
good,
busy,
yeah.
but keeping well, thanks. Keeping warm.
Excellent. Yes, that's the main thing.
Yeah, we're not all in
Typical
there.
British weather goes from like -6 to like 14 degrees in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just insane.
Don't mind that. Don't
Right.
mind that.
Okay. So we'll do a quick wristwatch check, and we'll always ask our guests first. So, Lucy, what have you got on the wrist?
Today I am wearing my Tissot PRX 35mm in the
Nice.
ice blue.
Ooh,
Very
Very
nice.
nice. Very
Very
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
And
Love this piece.
Sam. Oh, sorry.
Hello. Yeah, I've got my vintage Zenith 1965 linen dial on today.
Ooh. Oh, wow.
Very nice.
Very
Love
nice.
that.
Nice vintage piece there.
Yeah, beautiful.
Right. So, Johnny, surprise us.
Nice. That's not what you think. No, it really isn't. No, I've got my Elliot Brown
Oh.
Ultra Professional.
Excellent.
One of my new
Very
adventures
nice.
in.
Good.
Yeah, on the rubber strap. Very nice. Excellent watch. Yes.
Yeah.
Really good.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. And Andy, what you got? Oh, hang on.
Oh,
Is this the
yeah, this is the
unveiling?
one. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
it is.
dear.
I think it is for the show. Yeah, so I've got the
Yeah.
Azimuth R1 robot. Yeah, which is a crazy,
Oh.
crazy
Oh,
watch.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mixing it up a little bit.
I love that crown.
Yeah, it's awesome,
Oh.
right?
A little winder.
Little windy thing.
Yeah.
Right, I've got a boring watch on. So
Okay.
I Rolex Explorer 39mm, which hasn't left the wrist for a couple of weeks now. So once I put this on, it just always just stays on the wrist because it's so easy to
Wow.
wear and it's quite safe to wear. You're not really.
I
gonna
always
get-
say it's the perfect boring watch.
Yeah, it's a very very boring watch, but it's perfect.
But yeah, that's it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Right, so today we're going to have a collection review with Lucy and Sam, and they're going to show us 4 of their, I'm going to say favourite watches in their collection, or they might correct me a bit later on, but they're going to show us 4 watches each. First will be Lucy, who will be going through watch number 1.
Watch number 1. So this is like choosing your favourite children, by the way.
Yeah, we shouldn't be making two favourites.
We all have them though, so it's all right. So my first one is this gorgeous little vintage Omega DeVille. It is very, very simple in design, just time only, very thin, and it is a quartz as well. But this was one of my very, very first, say, proper watches. So you have your branded watches and your fashion brand watches. And then when I really started getting into watches a bit more, I was like, I want a proper brand. And vintage was my thing. So I was on the lookout for that. And I was like, oh, Omega, they're a really good brand. And this just sat perfectly. It was pretty. You could change up the straps with it. And it's from the very early 90s, I think, 1990. So yeah, it just fit absolutely perfectly, and I was really excited about it, and I still wear it now. So it doesn't just sit in the box. It occasionally gets somewhere.
Very nice.
So that's my first little piece.
It's very cool. I do like that vintage. Can we have another look at it quickly?
Hey,
Well,
Billy.
just give us another
Yeah.
quick.
Do you change the strap on it much?
Yes, yeah. It's because it's so simple in design and dial color. It matches so many straps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got it on this very Christmassy red one today.
Ah, is that why it's red?
Mm.
Okay, excellent. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So what year is
it's-
that again? Is that 90s? You say you
Yes,
bought it in
yeah,
the
1990, I believe.
It's a
And how long
crown
have you
pulled
had
I
that
call
out.
that vintage.
It's a crown pulled
No,
out.
no.
So the battery ran out because it's not running. Doesn't appear
No.
to be running.
Right, I need to change the battery on it. Come
Hurry up.
Thanks.
It's fine. It's what to check.
It's on
Sorry.
international time because
sure
Lisa's
someone
been
else
travelling a lot.
Yeah,
you know.
just going backwards. It appears I need to change the battery on my watch. So thank you very much for that.
It's all right. It's no
Live
problem.
on YouTube. Yeah.
That is a service that I offer.
Thanks, thank you.
Chief battery.
I know how to change my own batteries. I just don't get around to it as often as clearly I should because I'm now kind of more used to automatics and manuals, and I forget that sports watches actually do need battery changes.
Oh, I've done about 3 in the last couple of months. Yeah, like G-Shocks that have given up the ghost of batteries on. Oh God, pain in the backside. You got to take all the case off and pull all the, they're all massive protection, haven't they, to get everything off. Pain.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've never tried it with a G-Shock. I don't know what I would do when mine run out. I've got about 4. You just get new ones.
No, you can
No,
get
Yeah,
take
just get
them.
new
ones.
Throw them away.
Kind of like
Check it out. Yeah.
it's kind of like Pokemon.
You've got to
just
short
collect them
something.
all.
What you've got to do something from
That's true.
G-Shock when you changed it. You've just got to short something out in the back to get it running again.
Oh
That's an
yeah.
excuse
Or
to
you
get a
can
new one,
just take
actually.
it to
Yeah, it is. The
somebody who
battery
knows
ran
about
out, so I need a
watchmakers.
new G-Shock.
Or just take it to someone else that might know how to fix watches.
Ah, okay. Sorry. Lovely little watch, though. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a quick one. How did you come about that watch? Like, what inspired you to, what made you gravitate towards it?
The simplicity of it. I'm a big fan of a simple watch. I like to mix and match my outfits to my watch, and this was just beautifully simple, very clean. The vintage design is always very simple. Like the bezels on a lot of the vintage pieces are always really small. The cases are usually very small. So this just fit everything that I was looking for. I think it was an eBay purchase back in the day. Thankfully, it was real. You never know.
Before the authentication.
You never know. Before the authentication, which I think is only 2000 and above. So this wouldn't have come into that anyway.
Oh, really? Okay.
But yeah, it was super simple. Like the indices are really simple, and I just gravitated towards it. It's a good brand.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's great.
and then down the rabbit hole I went.
Oh, was that okay? This was your entry level.
This
Drug
was the
entry
entry.
drug.
Yeah, this was the
gateway.
This was the gateway drug.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent.
That's
this
quite
was
special
my
one.
first proper baby. So yeah, she's never leaving the collection.
Excellent.
But you can't say it's your
Brilliant.
favorite, can you? Because you'll upset the others sitting on the table.
She's not my. She is listening, but she's not my favorite.
Oh.
She's just my first. She's my first love.
Excellent. Okay, so Sam, would you like to show us your? Sorry, let's shuffle this all around. There we go. Sam's gonna show
I
us
was going to
number
go
one.
chronological the other way. Is that going to really throw it, or should I just stick to the same way as Lucy?
Do what you want, Sam. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start with my most recent purchase, I guess is the way to say it, which I picked up. Somebody offered it to me. I'd seen them around. I hadn't ever really dealt with one in the metal and was really excited and had planned to sell it on, but I think it's going to stay. So it is the Hublot service dial watch. So I don't know if you guys know the story behind the service watch.
No.
I've seen this on Instagram, and I'm wondering what is it? Because you put a lot of pictures up on this, and I was wondering what.
I mean, I'm not a
thing
huge
is.
Hublot fan. I keep trying. I kind of want to like them in just like a really ironic way, but they're all just a bit too big. They don't fit my wrist properly, and they are just a bit silly. So this is like the best Hublot. So it has service on the dial. So it's from the 1990s when you took your £5,000-10,000 Hublot into Hublot to get serviced. You got given one of these really slim, really cheap quartz watches to wear, so you still had a Hublot on your wrist whilst your watch was being serviced. So interestingly, it has not for, I don't know if you can quite see that there. It has not for sale on the back as well.
Yeah.
So it was just a loan watch. You were never meant to keep it, but obviously this one found its way. I think it might have even come from Barcelona. Interestingly.
Oh, really?
So yeah, a
Andy who sent it to you.
yeah. So
One of my old ones, yeah.
yeah, a Hublot AD was closing down, and the person that I bought it from them. So again, they weren't really meant to sell it, but they probably had it 20 years. And it's just quartz, and it's fun, and you won't really see many of them around.
Quirky,
So,
isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to keep it for a little while.
I think it's quite funny that Hublot, you spent 10,000 plus on a watch, and the person who gives that for a service is going to wear a plastic quartz one.
That's a really interesting thing. So I need to do a bit more research, but I don't know what the case is made from, because when you look it up, some people say aluminium, some say steel, some say titanium, and some actually say plastic. So I can't even. I showed it to a friend and they couldn't work out. And I actually showed it. I spoke to a journalist about it, and they'd written a whole article on the watch, and even they couldn't find out what it's made from. So
it's not bioceramic.
Usually, you can sell titanium. Normally, you can sell titanium, can't you? It's normally like a dull grey kind of colour.
Yeah, which
you can kind of tell. It's
blasted, isn't it? That one.
And it's a steel case back.
Okay.
And I don't think it's plastic, but I don't want to start scratching it to try and work out what it is.
No.
And it's quite light, but then it's a quartz watch, so it's going to be light anyway.
It's not the stuff
How often do you wear this, Sam? How often do you actually wear that?
Oh, I've only had it like 3-4 weeks, and I have worn it quite a lot. I need to get another hole in the strap. The strap's a little bit too long.
You actually don't mind wearing that with service written all over it. It looks a bit.
That's why I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Like, you're not gonna.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna see many of them around. I think I say it because it says not for sale on the back as well. Just makes it a bit quirky and a bit. You're not supposed to have it.
You're not going to find anybody else wearing one unless. Do they still give them out now for service?
No, not the thing. And actually, I think Hublot are the only brand I know of that did that. The only other brand I know is Bamford, and George Bamford Watch Department, and that's how they started their selling watches, because when they were modifying your Rolex like they used to give you a Bamford watch as a loan watch, and people kept keeping them, so then they ended up selling Bamford watches.
Cool.
That's the only other brand I know of that give loan service watches.
Yeah, it's super interesting though. It's almost like and that, like, if that was an artist collab like Banksy, for example, it'd be like the most valuable watch, right? It just feels like it's like, to me, the style of it looks like it's kind of some weird kind of artistic collab, even though it wasn't, But yeah, I think it's really cool.
Swatch.
Yeah,
it could be the Swatch Hublot. Yeah,
exactly.
cheap and cheerful, but yeah, I quite enjoy it.
Cool. That's a really quirky one.
I'm a big fan of that watch. It's the only Hublot I think I'd ever buy.
It's not for sale.
That's why it's kind of ironic about it, isn't it? Like, I've got a Hublot.
you little rebel. It's not for sale.
It's like the hipster in you, isn't it? That likes that watch. Right. Okay. So, Lucy, could you show us number 2, please? Watch number 2, please.
Next one. Just in no order other than just how I place them on my desk in front of me.
Thought about it then.
Subliminally, there must be a reason you placed them in that order. Deep down, psychologically.
Subconsciously, maybe.
Subconsciously.
Maybe. Well, they're actually almost in date order, actually. So maybe that's what I've done subconsciously. This one is a pretty personal piece. So the watch that got me into watches was a vintage Rolex Datejust that my stepdad had. It was a gorgeous little champagne dial, 36 mil, very bashed up, very well worn. And he used to let me wear that. But then I moved away and obviously, bye-bye Rolex, because I can't take that with me. But because I built such a connection to that watch, and sort of my passion for watches accelerated so much from that piece. He, for my 30th birthday, he said, I would like to buy you a watch that you can make vintage yourself. The whole point of him buying watches was to wear them and then pass them down. And I loved that concept. It's why I fell in love with vintage in the first place. Yes, so as a 30th gift, I got to choose a watch that I could then make my own and sort of wear it in myself, bash it up a bit because I'm very clumsy, and build up stories within the watch, so that eventually I can pass that down to my children. And I really, really thought about it, and I was like, well, it could have been a Seiko that he had, but unfortunately it was a Rolex. So I was like, well, can I get a Rolex? But the one I went for was the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 36. So it's the blue sunburst dial with the 369, which is actually now discontinued.
Yeah, very nice.
I looked at a million colours. It was just around the time that the white and the black had been released, and I was like, oh, maybe one of those because they're nice and simple colourways. But then I saw this blue dial, and I have my issues with Rolex, but their blue sunburst is almost unrivaled. Like the way that they do it is just absolutely beautiful. So I fell in love with it, and the 369 reminded me of the Explorer, and yeah, there wasn't many of the 369 about, so yeah, that's the one I chose, and it's already got a lot of scratches on it, but yeah, so I think this is my most sentimental.
Right. Okay. So you say you got a few issues with Rolex. I mean, did you buy this one because your granddad? Did you buy it because the Rolex because your granddad had it, or you like Rolex as well, or was it just primarily just to remind you, keep that watch in your mind?
I don't like being a sheep. I like things that are a little bit different. So my thing is like classic with a twist, and I feel like everyone knows Rolex. People who aren't into watches know Rolex. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but I normally like things that are a little bit off kilter. Your MB&Fs, your Vacheron American 1921s, your Cartier Basculant. Those that are different to, I guess, your classic watch. And then in terms of obviously Rolex, if you're not into watches, you know what a Rolex is. And to me, that's just kind of, I didn't want to go for it because of that, but because obviously my stepdad had this particular one, that's kind of why I went for the Rolex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
And it's not a date. It's not like a lady date just. It's like it's got, as I say,
No,
it's got a twist. It's a bit sporty. It's a bit more everyday, and that dial is beautiful. I don't think they don't do that dial in a lady date just or any date just. Maybe
the blue. I'm not sure. I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure about the blue. Blue's quite a rare
Blue,
one.
they have the
get
date
anyway.
just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The normal date just. Yeah, but not the lady date just.
Yeah.
No, they're all
Lovely.
sort of pinks and diamond encrusted, and that's just not me.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not super girly. So this, a sports watch with 36 mil, a nice dial that I can wear different things with, but it's not too in your face. It's not blingy. So this is the perfect choice for me.
Super
Awesome.
nice. Did you just a quick question on that? Did you have the full Rolex experience? Did you go to VAD when you was getting that watch, or was it gifted to you?
I was there. I was there.
Oh, okay.
To get it sized and had the champagne and all sorts. Yeah, and this wasn't even that long ago. I'm not that old, but I did get it a couple of years before my 30th because I wanted to take his date just with me, and he wouldn't allow it. So it's like, I'm going to gift you this early. But it was back when you could actually get into an AD. You could try on multiple Oyster Perpetuals, which you wouldn't even be able to dream of doing that now. I had like the white grape, the actual grape, and then like the silver dial. They did a couple. I had about 6 Oyster Perpetuals in front of
the
me.
slate dial, didn't they? And the grape and the blue with the pips on the. Yeah, I remember those. Very nice.
Yeah, so I tried on loads of different sizes, the 34s. They did a blue dial 39 with the green pips.
Yeah.
And I loved the contrasting pips, but they didn't do that in the 36, and the 39 was just a bit too much on the larger size. But yeah, having all of these watches in front of me, I was just like, oh, this is just a normal experience. And then fast forward a couple of years, you don't even get them for exhibition anymore.
Yeah,
That's you're crazy, right. Actually, it's just insane.
But yeah, glad you got the proper experience. That's the main thing. With being such a special piece. So yeah, nice story.
Exactly. Yeah, another one that will never leave the collection.
Excellent. Should tell Andy to how that's done, because he shifts everything in.
We have something in common though with the crazy watches. I'm all about not having the norm, but yeah, I change them a bit too often.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Sam. What's your second one?
I'm going to continue working chronologically backwards. So I found this last year, probably, I want to say like autumn, and I wore it last Christmas. And then I think because it had a green strap on it, I had it in the back of the drawer for ages, and then it's come out this Christmas. It is a 1960s Mickey Mouse watch, which is just really silly, but it's vintage. I found it in an antique shop and gave it a wind, and it ran, and I think it was like £35, and I offered him 25, and he said yes, and I was like, that's fine. And actually, I got a Seiko. I think he had a Seiko as well, and I did a deal with this and the Seiko. And it runs like an absolute dream, and it makes me smile. It's very Christmassy. I thought it might be a Gerald Genta, but unfortunately it's not. But yeah, it's got a little bit of wear to the case. I think the case is probably gold plated at some point. But the dial, I don't ever think it's been retouched or touched up at all. It looks all original, but just in really good condition. And it just makes me really smile. And I think it's just a real Christmassy watch. So,
nice.
Yes, one's been in the back of the drawer for most of the year and then come back out again.
I used to have one of those when I was a kid, really young. My dad bought me a Mickey Mouse watch. But did this watch inspire your business plan of the concierge service you do, or negotiating with a antique guy?
I mean, yes, early days of negotiation. I've been in the business a long time, and but never really on a buying and selling side of things. Always more of a customer service operations. So yes, it was early days watch shopping. And actually it was quite nice because I again bought the Seiko, managed to sell that, and then kept hold of this one. So it's don't do a lot of buying and selling of stock, although saying that the Hublot was also one that I was meant to sell on. I'm now keeping. Never.
It's not for sale, so you can't. Yeah, you can't. You got to hang on.
Yeah, exactly. You're allowed to purchase it. You're just not allowed to sell it.
Can't sell it.
So yeah, no, the Mickey Mouse watch was early days negotiating, and I don't know. I'd like to think I'm getting a bit better at it.
So Mickey Mouse inspired you to become the businesswoman you are today.
Yes, it was. Yeah, definitely. And actually, antique shops, because I mean, with the internet, everyone really does know what they've got, but I think antique shops are still somewhere that you might be able to find a bit of a bargain, because they know, you're not going to find an old Rolex in there, but you're going to find some other cool stuff. And actually, there's one I went to in Norfolk, and they had I do wish I bought it actually. They had a couple of pocket watches that had an Oris pocket watch and a Vertex pocket watch. I did message Vertex about the Vertex one. I was like, hey, do you want me to get it? And they're like, no, we've seen hundreds of them. Like, it's fine.
Wow.
You don't need to. But, yeah. fun place to find watches.
So what year is the Mickey Mouse watch? What year is it?
1960. So I think somewhere I've got a picture of the movement. So it's not branded. It just says it does say Swiss made on the dial, and nothing on the back of any use. Just a stainless steel. But I think when I did take the back off at the time, and managed to date it to 1960s.
Excellent.
Very
Very
cool.
Yeah.
How do you feel about characters on watches?
No, well, I'm a massive fan of the Snoopy, like the original Snoopy. So yeah, I don't mind. I know you're not a fan, but I don't mind them. I think done in the right way. Like I think Snoopy's like now we're on the third Snoopy. I think it's kind of done. But yeah, the white dial Snoopy, I'm a huge fan of. I love it. Just
The
makes me,
40th.
love it.
Is that the 40th?
I always get mixed up because they're all called Silver Snoopy as well, but the white dial, like the first white dial.
I think that was the 40th. The 50th is
that
with
the
the
first or
blue,
second?
the new one, isn't it? With the blue dials on it.
Yeah, then there's a
And,
black dial.
oh,
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
A friend of ours got one at retail. What was it? 3,500, and they're now like 45. And he, knowing that I loved it, he lent it to me for about 6 weeks. So I wore it and loved it. Yeah. And the only thing that tripped me up is that I'm used to like vintage watches or automatic watches, but I wasn't used to wearing a modern manual wind watch like every day. And yeah, I went to get the train and it stopped on me without me really realizing. Very nearly missed the last train home. I was like, it's a modern day watch. How has it stopped on my wrist? Yeah, meant to wind it.
I like the Timex ones. There's a baseball one. I mean, that's I don't mind personally. Don't mind characters. Snoopy or Mickey Mouse. I think you're okay with. Popeye. I think Bamford does a Popeye, doesn't he? I think there's a couple of. I mean, that's not really my thing, but I think those two, Snoopy and they're kind of iconic with watches, aren't they? And Mickey Mouse. So yeah.
Yeah.
I like the old Gentas. You know the jumping hours with the characters on.
Yeah.
You've got like Donald Duck with a baseball bat going around the. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But they, I remember they used to be like 5K, right? And now they're creeping up there, like maybe 10,000 now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
A lot now, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Lucy, watch number 3, please.
Ooh, back to me. All right. So, if anyone has ever watched any of our old Time of the Week YouTube videos, my grail for a very long time, without ever seeing it in person, was this watch. And I now own it, and I'm still as in love with it as the day that I saw the picture, let alone like actually physically held it in my hands. And it is my Grand Seiko SDG A413. So it's the cherry blossom, not the snowflake that everyone keeps thinking it is. The pink is so subtle on it. I think a lot of vendors make it too pink and it kind of puts a lot of people off. But it's super, super subtle. So I wanted this watch for so long, and it was US only. So whenever we did a show, they were like, what watch do you want? Like, what's on your Christmas wish list? What's on your birthday wish list? Like, what's your grail? And I don't know whether grails are supposed to be more expensive than this. Like, don't get me wrong, this is pricey, but other people were thinking like £200,000, and I was like, I just want this one watch that's like $5,000. I need this like in my life without even seeing it. So I said before, I'm not that girly, but a pink dial by Grand Seiko in titanium in 40 millimeters with a really cool movement, an open case back. Everything about it just spoke to me. Like, I'm a big fan of Grand Seiko. They're doing a lot more now, and I do feel like their prices are creeping up. And the one thing that used to annoy me was doing specials in different countries. Just why do that?
Yeah.
So I could never actually physically see this watch in person. So I started saving up for it. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get this watch. And there's a soppy story behind actually getting it because I didn't end up buying it.
Okay.
I've
Yeah,
been
tell us.
I've been very, very lucky. You know, in my life, I don't take any of this for granted. Being a watch enthusiast, I have watches in my collection that are like £4 from a charity shop. But I was very, very lucky enough to receive this one as an actual 30th birthday present, not a pre-birthday 30th. And my other half is very cute and is probably going to kill me for even mentioning this online. So the previous year he'd bought me a little Seiko Presage, and he'd actually swapped them out and rewrapped my Seiko. And then as I opened the gift, he'd written, "Sorry, it's not a grand Seiko," or on Seiko he just put a little sticker with grand on the top.
Oh,
I was like, oh no, he's bought me a Seiko. Like, that's so, like, I was still like super, super excited. Yeah, and then I opened this watch for my birthday, and I'm not a crier. I full ugly cried.
Oh, really?
It was not a pretty sight. It was not a pretty sight at all, because I'd wanted this watch for so long, and the way that he did it was just like the cutest thing ever. But yeah, like full ugly cry for about 10 minutes. The cry sweats. It was adorable. And every time I look at this watch, I am more in love with it. Absolutely obsessed.
Wow.
Wow. You even did the whole, that must have been a proper cry.
Oh no, you know, you cry so much, you get like, does anyone else get the cry sweats? Like, when you're
cry sweat.
I do now.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe the nose
Yeah,
dribble, but not the cry sweat.
You get all hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my baby.
It's lovely.
Okay, so
Very
I've got a
nice.
question about this. That's an amazing watch. Yeah, you can't notice the pink there, but it is very subtle, and it's the dials on Grand Seiko are incredible. What was it particularly about this that made this your grail? What it's very sporty. Is it? I mean, what particular? Because you sound very in love with this, and what is it that exactly? I mean, the story behind it as well, obviously, is amazing as well. But this particular watch, what made you want it so much?
Yeah, falling in love with it when you've never actually seen one in person must mean something. Like, it was destined for my collection. Like I said, I was a massive fan of Grand Seiko anyway. Their dials are second to none. Like, they are beautiful, impeccably done. The Zoratzi polishing is fantastic. So I knew I wanted a Grand Seiko in my collection. And there's a lot out there, and a lot of them I found either too big or too chunky or too sort of tall looking. And then some of the sort of dressier watches were a little bit more pricey, I guess. But the subtleness of this style, like the texture on it, is beautiful. It's really subtle. I like more muted tones, I guess, more versatile dials. So yeah, the texture with that very subtle hint of pink. It changes when you're in different lights as well. And I love that concept. The case shape as well is just a perfect case shape. I seem to have gotten bigger with my watch sizing. So I think my Omega was like a 34, my Rolex is a 36, and this was a 40mm, which I actually was a little bit nervous about, because I kind of always say the sweet spot's a 36 to a 39 for me personally. But this 40mm just curves so beautifully around the wrist. You had that exposed, you know, the open case back, so I can actually see the movement. I thought I'd be a bit bothered with the power reserve on the dial, but I actually really enjoy winding it and watching it increase. Yeah, that's a really sad but fun game.
No. I'd also say,
You put
yeah,
it
if
on
you've
for
got
us.
power reserve.
Oh right, yeah, power reserve. I mean, let's see what the height. You know,
Yeah, the only
it's all about. Yeah.
So like, that's how slim it is. I don't know whether you can.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a little bit loose now because it's cold, but yeah. I mean, I think my wrist size is like 6.25-ish. So 40 mil, it just curves really beautifully. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
stunning.
nice.
How do you find the finishing versus Rolex? I think I know the answer, but how do you think the finishing is compared to the Oyster Perpetual?
The Oyster Perpetual is fully, fully brushed, and this is like polished and brushed to insane precision. Unfortunately, it's my watch, so it's got a few dents in it already, but they're my dents. But yeah, like Grand Seiko's Araxi polishing is incredible. The cleanness of those lines and the sharp edges of the sword hands, and yeah, the whole finishing of it is spectacular. The only thing that would make this watch any better would be a slight micro adjust.
Okay, so the bracelet, that's the only thing. Yeah.
Yeah, if you take it off the bracelet, it's great. No.
Have you put it on a strap at all?
Yes, yeah. So I've got a leather strap, and I've also put it on a white rubber, which was controversial for a lot of people.
No, I like that.
I actually quite liked
stand
it.
out. The dial would probably stand out more, wouldn't it? With the
It did, yeah.
strap on, yeah.
I'm standing by my choice. It was a good choice. I enjoyed it.
I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
but full
then.
titanium is like crazy light as well.
Cool. Do you know how your other half purchased it? Do you know the story behind how he got it?
We have a friend in America
Okay.
who was very, very kind and helped with the purchase, and the shipping. So thank you very much
Awesome.
to that person.
Team effort there.
And then they've started bringing them out in the UK. I'm like, why?
No, I didn't realise.
After all that.
After all of that effort, yeah.
After all of this, we got this one imported, and now they sell them in the UK.
Brilliant.
Well, it's a better story, isn't
Whenever-
it? It's a better story
Yeah.
to tell everyone. Yeah, I went down the shop.
I do like to brag. I'm like, well, actually, this one's from America, so it doesn't have the G on the end.
Yeah. It's more special, yeah.
Exactly.
Very nice. Very cool. All right. Sam, what you got for us?
So I'm going to continue going chronologically, and another kind of Christmas watch. So it might, I think even to this week, I got this Oris Aquis 3 years ago. So Oris Aquis date with the green grey dial, so grey around the outside, gradiating into green. I think they still do make it, but really interestingly, this is 38.5 millimeters, I think it is. And all the new releases this year are either the size smaller or the size bigger. So I think they've actually discontinued this size, and the style is not anything new. But I saw this watch in September 3 years ago, like 2019, when I went to Red Bar Global in New York. A very handsome chap showed it to me, who's working on behalf of Oris. But yeah, no, fell in love with the watch, and
Is that what you bought?
it has connections to New York.
The handsome chap.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you fell in love with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they would hire him, to be charming and lovely and wonderful and try and sell watches.
He got your attention. The watch kept your attention.
Exactly. No. Exactly.
Okay.
But I did really fall for the watch, and then I was going on a big holiday over Christmas to New Zealand to see family, and I wanted to treat myself to a watch for the holiday, and I had previously been really drawn to the Black Bay 58. I think everyone loves the Black Bay 58. Goldilocks watch, perfect size, perfect proportions. And then had seen the Oris, and I did keep going back to the boutique a couple of times just to kind of check it and compare it. I think the Oris is kind of half the price. I think Black Bay 58 is 2,500. This is about 1,200, and it's not half the quality. Like it is. There are a few things with the Tudor that you can see why it's a bit more expensive, but not many. And I love Oris as a brand. My first Red Bar event that I went to was an Oris event, so it's kind of there's a lot of sentiment behind the reasons for purchasing the watch. And And then Oris did a Christmas event for Red Bar, and I went along to the boutique, and then got the watch. I actually spent ages trying to size it. Like it's a busy event, and they're like, "Oh, we'll take a link out." I was like, "Still too big." Like, take another link out, still too big, and they were there for ages. And then probably 3 days after the event, I flew to New Zealand, and it was on my wrist for 3 weeks, whilst I was kayaking and horse riding and swimming and just everything. So yes, and it's just it's a real go-to watch. It's my weekend watch if I go running. Just love it, absolutely love it. So, yeah.
No, that's your favourite. No, dare I say it?
No, not my favourite. Okay, what am I? I can't imagine it leaving the collection. I mean, this is the camera lighting.
I swore there. Sorry for swearing. That's your favourite watch. Well, did Oris do a lot of like environmental work and stuff? Was this one of a particular range to celebrate one of the initiatives they've taken? Or...
No, there's nothing limited edition about it. They did I'm thinking a pointer date with a similar-ish green dial. I think maybe in the bronze, but it's not quite the same. But they've kind of faded it out a little bit. But the environmental work that Oris does is one of the reasons why I kind of bought into the brand, and then that was my favorite model from the brand. So it's definitely kind of fell in love with the brand first, and then that was the favorite model.
Yeah, and how do you find dealing with the brand?
There's a lovely lady called Isra that looks after sort of the marketing side of things, and she does a fantastic job. And Rolf, who CEO, he's over in Switzerland and Holstein, and he is a wonderful person. And I think Oris was one of the first brands to bring out bronze watches, and he did a lovely event where I saw him talk, and he was like, "I love my bronze watch because I wear it to the beach with my daughter, and I can see it patina." And before bronze watches really became a thing. And I think their message is great. And I think they're the first watch brand to produce a sustainability report, which no watch brand has done before. So they're definitely, I think, kind of almost paving the way, because if they're doing it, then other watch brands are going to feel the pressure to kind of answer to, hey, what are you doing as well?
Yeah, okay.
That's one.
Nice.
It's one of the reasons I like Oris so much. Like they stand for so much in terms of like the environment and charity, and like you said, like showing other brands like, if like we can do this, you can too.
Yeah.
Why that dark color?
Yeah. Oh, why the dark color? I don't know. It's pretty. It's just a. Great.
They have a few, don't they?
That's a fair response. Yeah.
Actually, the day I got it, so I obviously tried it on a few times, loved it. The day I got it, we went to, I don't know if you guys have ever been, Meat Liquor, which is like a burger restaurant in London that has like really harsh neon lights. And I just bought the watch, and I like wore it in there, and I was like, oh, it looks really ugly. I tried to take photos of it. I was like, it looks rubbish. Like, what have I done? I was chasing the wrong watch. And I was like, no, wait, it's just the lighting. It's okay.
Wow.
Everything looks ugly in that place.
Yeah. Apart from the burgers still look good.
What's the place called? What's the burger place called?
Meat Liquor.
I thought that's what you said.
But liquor is in like alcohol.
Oh, right.
American.
Now I'm saying it aloud.
Yeah, it does. I think they might have gone for that kind of.
I feel like that might have been why.
That had never crossed my mind before.
Okay, I'm going to bring it back. So with the environmental thing, is the packaging, how's the packaging? Do they use is it 100% recyclable packaging as well? And then with that, is the quality to what you normally expect with other brands?
Yeah, so I think Lucy and I might have spoken about this before, but with Oris, I think they've got it just right. It's fully recyclable packaging, and it still feels in keeping with the price point. It's a £1,200 watch, and the packaging is nice and it's well put together. And then just kind of flip it a little bit. Breitling did something similar, and it's horrible. It's like they've just put it in a cardboard box. And I kind of think we've discussed previously, you should almost have, I think when it comes to a Breitling point, have the option, you know, hey, do you want nice sustainable packaging at no cost, or if you want a presentation box, here's an option. Whereas Breitling have just gone like, no, you can have the cheap stuff.
You just get this.
Still pay.
Yeah.
Still
pay a premium.
But I think Oris have. I think they've got it right. So their marketing's really spot on. I mean, we're still talking about luxury brands and a luxury product that nobody really needs. So it's never going to be 100%, sustainable, environmentally friendly. But I think when brands are kind of really putting it out there, we're doing as much as we can. It's a good thing. And I say and the charity aspect of it as well. Visibly giving back to charity.
Yeah, no, brilliant.
Helps.
Awesome.
Does that one have an open case back?
Yeah. So it's not the Caliber movement. It is the Solita SW220. But
okay, good movement.
It runs well.
Solid
And also,
movement.
I think there's a lot to be said about the Solitas and the ETAs, and that if you didn't want to take it back to the brand, you could take it to any good watchmaker, and they can still service it.
Yeah. Of course.
Cool. So we're down to the last watch now. Very sad. It's a sad moment. Hang on. Right, Lucy, what is your fourth watch in your choices, please?
My last watch choice is actually my most recent purchase, I believe. So I love a vintage, as you all know. So I was kind of eyeing up various other watches. Now, Cartier has never really been on my radar. I didn't get it. In my head, it was still a fashion brand. It was, I would say fashion brand, Cartier jewelry, and it was
Not
more
a proper
that.
watch brand,
Not a proper watch brand,
No, I don't agree that it is. I'm just saying that's what you were probably thinking.
Initially, that's what I thought. And also, it was another one of those that I kind of put down to it being a bit more of a status thing. Like, oh, I've got a Cartier. And I, especially in the first couple of years, tried to sway away from that and look at the alternative options. But as I've gone down the rabbit hole, my tastes are continuously changing. And I found my Cartier love, finally. It's about time. Everyone raved about them, and I was like, so I started the search for, and I still am on the search for, a Cartier Santos from my birth year. It's the only two-tone watch really that I think I like, which is strange, but I love it. But because I started liking the Cartier brand, I obviously then wanted a Cartier watch. And a nod to my vintage love, I went for the very simple, very understated, very classic Cartier tank. So just a lovely little piece. It's so simple, and again, like a really versatile piece. So I guess in some ways it's a lot like the Omega DeVille that I started off with. Very clean, very classic. The tank for me is a very, very classic style. It gives me nods to, I've got 1940s Longines tank, and I adore it. It was very 20s, 30s, 40s style. So that sort of brings it back as well. And as my tastes have progressed over the last couple of years, my watch sizing has got bigger. So when I first actually tried this on in the shop, I was like, no, I don't know. Maybe I need to go for the bigger, like the bigger size. But it's because when I was shopping, I was wearing my Grand Seiko, which is a 40mm. Anything's going to look quite small next to that. But after sort of taking my eyes away from that and then coming back, I just fell in absolute love with it. And the little cut, you can't see it on here. I'll have to send a picture. But at 10 o'clock, It's got the Cartier, actual
Mm.
Cartier wording
Yeah.
on it. It doesn't have a million and one things on the dial. It's really clean. And I absolutely adore it.
Wow. So that's very not how you would describe your watch collecting kind of style, but what was it that made you pick this one in particular? Because I love this tank. The tank. So many times I've nearly got one and I haven't, and I've regretted now. And the next one I get, I hope will be a tank. Just a lot. It's nice and small. I mean, just the size doesn't matter. It's just so cool and iconic for me, I think. But what made you pick that one as your latest watch?
So for special events, I didn't really have too many options. I found, those sort of small, understated, slightly more elegant pieces. I love a statement piece, but I didn't, other than my little Longines, which is actually rose gold, and didn't really go with sort of, if I wanted to wear silver jewelry. Must be such a girl thing. Matching all your jewelry colorings. I realized I didn't really have anything that was that matched that category. So then you start looking, you start shopping around, and then you start sort of finding what you want and pinpointing exactly what it was. And then tried this on, and I was like, that's it. Special events now, I'm like, go to Cartier. But I also now find that even on sort of more dressed down occasions, I'll reach for it because it just goes perfectly with pretty much every outfit and almost every occasion. See, I'm not going to go running in it or to the gym, but most daily tasks can be achieved with a Cartier tank.
Okay, so was there anyone in there's a lot of people that have worn this over from the 60s and even before then. Was there anyone that was inspired you in that way, or it was just something you liked?
Not really, no. It's just something I liked. I can imagine people like Audrey Hepburn wearing it, and I adore Audrey. She's like such an icon. I can imagine like people like her, like Sophia Loren wearing something like this. So
yeah, very classic. Okay,
yeah,
thanks for that.
Brilliant. So from my side, now owning the Cartier, what's your impression of them now? Do you still see them as a jewelry brand first, or do you respect them more as a proper watchmaker now?
I do have a lot more respect for them in their watchmaking sort of side of their business, for sure. I do finally sort of see them moving away from, obviously this is a quartz, but the simple diamond encrusted pink, more jewelry orientated pieces, which is a lot of what the women's sections were. You go into an AD, you get carted straight to, here's Cartier, they're watches, but they're mostly jewelry, I think they are starting to come away from that a little bit more with sort of varying sizes and designs, and having the option of having diamonds with or without as well, I think, and automatic movements as well as, the quartz. So they are bringing something a little bit more than jewelry to the watch side. I'm obviously talking about sort of more the women's side of it, but I do respect them a lot more now.
Yeah, super interesting. Yeah, it's my favorite brand. So I love Cartier, especially vintage. I love vintage Cartier. So I'm glad you finally own one.
The Basculante is next.
Oh,
Ooh,
okay.
Exhibition back or without exhibition back?
Any way, shape, or form. To be honest, I just love I love the concept of it.
Yeah.
I'm not actually a fan of the JLC. I haven't got the Reverso thing, but the Basculante is so different and classic with a twist.
Interesting fact, the same case designer who did the Reverso did the Basculante, and the reason why they did the Basculante was obviously it were trademarked, right, for the Reverso. So little cool story behind it, but that's why instead of flipping to the side, it flips from the top.
Like a little A little sun lounger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a deck chair.
chair. Yeah, always a deck chair. Yeah.
Very nice. So, Sam, what do you think of the tank and Cartier as a brand?
I'm probably going to upset Andy a little bit. I'm like Lucy was in that I'm not there with Cartier. Like, I appreciate on other people, like what Lucy, that watch looks beautiful on you, but there's not, other than the best glance and the Cartier or drive to Cartier, I do quite like. But as a brand, I'm not quite there. It's not, not loving it. So not on myself, but on other people, absolutely love it and appreciate it. And also like on some of the straps. I think a friend of ours, Mark, has a tank and like plays around with the straps, and it does, like, I can't deny it looks beautiful. But personally, I'm not there yet in terms of like purchasing a Cartier. But yeah,
The drive's
One
quite
day
an the drive's quite a unusual choice as well.
I think it's just continued
Controversial choice.
Yeah. Or unofficially discontinued it. Like, you don't see it in any stores anymore, but then when you ask, they're like, they don't give you a straight answer.
Interesting.
Right. Okay. So the last watch of the show from the collection is.
Yeah. Okay.
Sam, what have you got for us?
Probably the main one that I don't say known for. Is that weird? That I have worn, and actually I was trying to work out time-wise. I think I've actually had this watch like 6.5, maybe 7 years, which is crazy. The time has gone. It's my Bremont. So for anyone that might not know, I work for Bremont. So yeah, I would have joined them 10 years ago and worked there for 3 years. So when they're a bit smaller than what they are now, and they're kind of working out of a converted barn as opposed to this huge wing that you know. And I was working for Breitling at the time, looking after Breitling's like stock department for the repairs, and Bremont were like, yeah, we don't have anyone looking after stock. Our watchmakers just take parts out of the box as and when they need them. So I went along to Bremont and set up their stock department, and then as it grew, looked after kind of operations and procurement. And so Bremont, a very fun place in my heart, and only left because I moved to Henley for the job and wanted to move back to Kent to be close to friends and family. So that was kind of the reason why I left on good terms, and still I saw Nick English 3 weeks ago and still love the brand and seeing them and just, supporting them in any way I can. So yes, this is the Bremont ALT1-C, 43 millimeters, which is big, but I don't care. A bit like Lucy, actually, I've weirdly gone a little bit smaller recently, but I still love this. And actually, wearing it, somebody said, I love it when a woman wears a large chronograph as opposed to I love it when a woman wears a man's watch, and I really appreciated that. So yes,
More comments like that, please.
Yes. And also, like, I love a little fun sort of story behind it. Where I worked in stock management, I won't take it wasn't completely me, but there was a mix up with the hands when we went to make this watch. Actually, no, let me just backtrack a little bit further. The reason that I got the job at Bremont, or applied for a job at Bremont, is because of the Victory watch, which I saw advertised, where they'd taken parts of the HMS Victory ship and built it into a watch. Saw the advert, thought it was really cool, sent them an email. It was like, you're really cool, have you got any jobs going? And then they brought out the ALT1-C, which is at the time was the closest looking watch to the Victory watch, which is why I chose this one. But there was a delay in parts, so not entirely my fault, but slightly. So when the watches were being made, the hands, delay with the hands. So I had to wait. There was all these like pre-orders coming in. So we had to fulfill all the pre-orders. So I had to literally get the last one off of the production line after all the orders were fulfilled. So absolutely love it. And I know the watch. I know where the parts came from. I know the watchmaker that made it. It's very special. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Is this your favourite one?
You said the F word. We don't allow the F word on this.
No.
But for like, I almost don't want to say it's. Oh, I don't know. Now it's listening. I don't want to say it's going down. Like I'm reaching it a little less than I used to. Which I know I don't let it hear that. Say that. Although I do joke a little bit. I still love Bremont, still support Bremont everywhere I can. But I do have a bit of a joke when everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you know, you can't wear an expensive watch in London. You know, you get your hand cut off." And I'm like, "Well, no one's going to steal my Bremont, so I'm fine."
Probably true. No disrespect to Bremont. It's just people are looking for just things that they can move.
Certain
the
things.
obvious. Yeah, no one's heard of it. And but
it's not a blingy piece. It is a large watch, but it's not blingy. It's not in your face. It's not a bright color. It's not highly polished. You know, it's very understated as a actual design. So which I love. And obviously, always can appreciate that. But 43 mil is a bold size, though, and I like you pull it off so well.
Yeah, and also whenever if I'm out with someone, I'm like, oh, try it on. Whenever I see it on somebody else, or see it like say across the room on somebody else, I'm like, oh, damn, that does look good. Like it, yeah.
Could you put it on for us?
Yeah.
You just see this because it's 43 seems quite.
43 is quite big.
Yeah, I know. Now I say recently, I'm like, oh, is it a bit?
Because I remember the first, because we've been on the show together for quite some time, but never actually met in person. Look at that. I don't.
Okay, that's good. That looks really cool. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's
really cool.
Like slightly oversized.
I have a thing that I don't like it being wider that way, and it's not wider like the Hublot. Like I'll try on a 36 mil Hublot, and the bracelet will come out that wide. You know, so much wider. So, and actually, this watch it's on its winter alligator leather strap, but in the summer I put it on like an orange rubber strap. I put it on a NATO before. I think like the white dial really lends itself to any strap.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think when we finally met at Red Bar, was that the first meeting? I think you were wearing that on like an orange sailcloth type strap, and I tried that on, and I was like, oh damn, okay, unexpected, but I like this.
Yeah. I lent it to a friend of mine. She's not really into watches. She was got a promotion. She was wanting to buy a special watch, and I was like, well, just wear this for a couple of days. And it was on the orange strap, and then she was like, yeah, like that's the kind of watch I want. So, yeah, she's up for it.
Oh, nice. So going back to Bremont, it's a brand that not everyone is not aware of. They don't. It's not everyone buys into it so much. I personally think, is it are they military watches? I kind of get a bit confused with the actual brand identity they're going for. I know they do forces watches, do they? And like Metropolitan police watches as well, or things like that. But what is a Bremont? What's their why? Do you think first they don't? Not so many people buy into it, and what is it? They're actually what type of watch is a Bremont? What should spring to mind when you think of Bremont?
I think, so I guess initially, Nicholas and Giles, the co-founders, from an aviation background. I think initially it's an aviation watch. They're both pilots. I've flown with Nick. I've flown a plane with him. And so it comes from pilots, first of all, and adventurers. You know, their early ambassadors were Charlie Borman and Ewan McGregor, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then it kind of naturally fell heavily into military. And certainly when I was there, and I think even now, a third of their business is military, special projects. So at the time, you'd go to Breitling, you know, for a military project, and Breitling would say, we'll just put a stamp on the dial. Whereas Bremont would say, yeah, we can make your own dial, we can change the hands, we can engrave the rotor, whatever you want, you know, we can do it. So they certainly appeal to military in that side. And then going a little bit back to, we said about like why they might not be recognizable or maybe not the first watch that everyone chooses. They are priced, I don't want to say higher, but say their dive watch is priced similar price to an Omega Seamaster. I think it probably just comes under. But people will say, why am I choosing a British watch that I don't know over an Omega Seamaster? But I'll just say, like, I've been to the workshop, I think, and Lucy will say workshop. It's a huge manufacturing facility now, and Lucy's been. And I don't think you're buying just the watch, you're buying back into British watchmaking, to set up a facility like that is huge. And again, go back to Omega, it's whatever, 200 years old, and every year it's kind of a copy and paste of what they've done for the last 200 years. Those machines have been there for 200 years and they're just adapting them, where you're talking about a brand that's 20 years old, but only really in any scale sort of 10 years old, and they're just having to really kind of put the money into the manufacturing side of it. So sorry, on a little bit of a ramble, but I think that's where the money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
I was going to say the one thing that I would like from Bremont is, to me, they don't have a highly recognizable watch. They don't have that's Bremont, like through and through. Do you think they have one and I've just missed it? Is there one watch that in their collection that's like their staple design?
Yeah, if you go back 6-7 years, actually it has changed a lot. So my watch is the ALT1-C, and that's a polish. It's not very let's take a second. And that's the polished one. But that layout they have kind of stopped doing, and all they've diluted it. So the original ALT1-C was the C stands for classic, so it was the classic watch, and then it was that alongside the MB. So Martin Baker with the roto click and the barrel around the middle. But I guess as the models have grown and the ranges have grown, it's kind of just got a little bit diluted in that. But those were probably the two iconic models.
Cool. A closing question from my side. What's next on the radar? And that's for both of you. Is there anything on the radar or anything for next year? What's the next watch?
Depends what my bank balance will allow.
The G-Shock Casio.
I in terms of like low key, like more budget pieces, I've always really, really wanted the Mr. Jones number cruncher. Freaking love that watch so much. They're sold out. They're sold out. Restocking. Yeah. So annoying.
I got one for my sister, and my sister's like Japanese crazy, and she's going to Tokyo for her birthday, and I got her the Tokyo edition. And I've got,
oh my god, that's amazing.
She sent me a photo of her wearing it with like Mount Fuji in the background. It's beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, really cool.
Well, I've
That's
just
amazing.
looked at it. It's pretty out there, isn't it? Yeah.
I love their designs. There's a really quirky little company. Their designs they're all very small numbers. They're designed very, very closely by local artists, people that work there. And they're all, you can see the whole process like on their Instagram of the dial stamping and designing. And they've got a token sausage dog, which obviously makes me love them even more. But they have a mixture of quartz and also automatic. So the number cruncher, they always play with like how they tell the time, and I always find it really interesting, like how they do it. On half of them, I'm like, how the freaking hell can you? What time is it? I have no idea. But the design is fantastic. Like the design's always really cool. So the number cruncher is an automatic piece, and it comes in at like £220 or something like that. Yeah. So it's a pretty good price point. It's a fun little watch. And if you want something that's a little bit quirky but you don't have like a massive budget, I would recommend Mr. Jones watches.
Yeah,
but the number cruncher is.
I didn't know what it was. I've looked at it. Wow,
I've looked,
crazy.
275 euros. Yeah.
No, there's a brand. I used to sell them. The shop I used to work in, we used to sell them. Absolutely love them. Actually, so I got my sister a strap. I bought her the watch and a metal bracelet, but she couldn't get on with it, so I got her a leather strap. And they sent. She said. So I bought it and got it delivered to her house, and then she was like, "I've got an envelope addressed to you," and I was like, "Well, open it." I don't know, like delivered to her, and I was like, "I don't know what it is," and it was Mr. Jones had sent a Christmas card, and all of the team had signed it.
well.
I got one.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh my god, it's so sweet!" Like, yeah,
It's even little jockey paw print.
Yeah, like just bought a strap and they sent out a Christmas card. Oh, yeah, love it.
Well, they've got one that says "Remember, you will die" on that tent.
Yeah, my friend owns that watch actually. Yeah.
Bizarre. Okay, but they are very funky. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Some
your
little
next,
quirky pieces for sure.
is that your next piece then, Lucy? You think?
Okay. It's entirely possible, yeah. Although I've loaned an old Rado from a friend, and it's almost like a crosshatch design, but it plays with the light really, really well. It's a vintage brown dial, and he's loaned it to me, and I'm like, I don't want to give it back. I really want this watch. I really want this little vintage watch. But my bank balance is saying no.
Oh,
Get
well.
that.
Never mind. Sam, yourself?
Yeah, I mean, kind of following on from the Hublot a little bit, in that I'm buying stock for the business and maybe keeping some of it. So it's gonna. I think it's gonna. I guess my personal plan for next year is maybe buying stock for the business and then just seeing what sticks around a little bit longer.
Longer than it should. Okay.
Yeah.
But you haven't got your eye on anything then, in particular.
The one that keeps coming back that I haven't found it yet. I would love a Berthier Rolex GMT Pepsi, but weirdly, whenever one pops up, it's always the year before or the year after. So I think there's a conspiracy that they just didn't make any in the year I was born. If one popped up, I would struggle to say no to it. Yeah, and just kind of, I guess maybe it's something a little bit different. I don't think there's any new watches. I can't see myself jumping on a new watch anytime soon. But I think, I say, kind of, again, through the business, get offered a lot. And I think I would struggle, if I got offered something, I might struggle to, that I really like, I might struggle to say no or to then sell it on.
Wow. I almost thought you were cured then, but obviously you're not. You can't. You brought it back to. You still have the sickness.
So yeah. Like trying to be sensible, but not. Yeah.
I guess the benefit of doing what you do is you get to experience a lot of different watches, and without spending the money.
The crazy thing, maybe it's supposed to be my New Year's resolution, I don't actually wear them. Like I don't spend, so like, it's quite a quick, try and make it a quick turnaround. So you want me to sell your watch on consignment or bought by it, and I get it in and I test it and I clean it and test it and photograph it, and then it goes on the website and then it kind of goes away. So it's not like I'm kind of sat here just being like, oh, I'm just going to wear this watch for the day, because again, a lot of them are unworn or they're in excellent condition. So I'd feel a bit weird if I just wore them around the house or then just kind of wore them out and about. So maybe I might find an excuse to wear them a little bit more next year.
Okay, so I'm just conscious of time now. We've gone over the. I don't know. We've had so much fun talking, so obviously we've overrun slightly. But Sam, have you got any pieces with you there that you're trying to sell?
I just had one that I just was really excited about. That if you wouldn't mind, I could just very quickly share.
I'll put you on the screen. Yeah.
It's the only one that I didn't set to time. Sorry. It's the Omega CK859.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Love that watch.
Yeah, it's proven to be really popular. So this is an unworn stickered piece.
Wow.
That is a little bit cheaper than RRP if anybody's interested. And I was just trying to tell you, it is beautiful. It is an actual silver dial, so not silver coloured. It's made from silver, so it actually says AG. I don't think, was it 925. And again, the light doesn't do it any justice. Blued hands, beautiful movement, manual wind movement. just a really cool watch. So
Very nice.
Was that a limited one? Was that a limited
No,
run?
so
that one?
that's what's also quite interesting. So it was a numbered edition. So they never said limited edition, they said numbered edition. And then maybe 6 months after they brought it out, they said they were discontinuing it. And then there was like a mad, like, oh my God, like prices went sky high. And then they're like, oh no, we're going to bring it back again. But then now if you go to Amiga, it says you can't buy it like through the website.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, I saw
I think it's
a
really
bit
hard to
weird,
get hold
like,
of.
Okay. So
Excellent. If anyone
Right,
wants
so
to buy
check
that,
out-
go on
yeah.
to Time on Our Hands website. How much is it going for on the website? Sam?
5595 it was.
5595.
And I think-
Go on, yeah.
Yeah.
And try and get a
Watch
deal.
can see better
concierge.co.uk, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Excellent.
there's much better pictures on there. She's
yes, I mean, then trying to model it.
Thank you both ladies for showing your collection. Absolutely marvelous. Thank you everybody for watching. It's been enjoyable. Thank you. Got some Christmas shows coming up soon. We will tell you about it very soon. Let you know. Once again, thank you to Palm and Andy for putting the show together as normal. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sam, again, and Lucy. Thank you. And we'll say goodbye to everybody. Cheerio. Good night.
Thank you very much.
everyone.
Good evening.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.